Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's the imperfect one, King Cruz, along with the last man standing, Christopher Hart, bringing you the Jobber Jab.
Just when you think you've got all the answers, here we come to change the culture. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I am Christopher Hart.
I'm King Cruz.
And we are here for the third episode of Jobber Jab.
That is right. Please continue to follow. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit that notification bell for all the new content we're coming out with. Please.
Don't hesitate to comment. Leave us some love. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, what we can change, what you'd like to see, any topics that you would like us to cover. Throw it all down there, man. We read everything.
Help us help you.
Jumping right in. We're going to start off with AEW this week. You've got the Icon, Sting, and Darby Allin.
Sting is making his debut with AEW. In-ring debut, apparently.
February 27th, I believe. Yeah.
AEW Revolution.
I don't know how to feel about this one. You've got Sting, who everybody wants to see in the ring. Luckily, it's going to be a tag team match because, we've said it a few weeks ago, I don't want to see Sting taking a bump at this point, man. The man's 62 years old, and he's still going to go, but it should be interesting to see.
Now, Sting and Darby Allin will be taking on Team Taz. Now, Taz cut a promo on them, said if you wanted to fight dirty, we can take it to the street. I don't know if that's calling us a street fight or what. Again, this is not something I want to see Sting do this late in his career, but a street fight might actually help him with the transitions from weapons from outside. He might not actually have to take a real bump. He might just have to act a little bit. I'm all for it, actually. I just don't want to see a regular match. I can't see it. I don't want to see him take a bad bump.
I will say for AEW being the first brand to have a live audience again, this is going to be a treat for the fans there.
With them having fans back, it's great. The Icon has always had a presence with the fans. So to see him come back and actually perform, it's going to be a treat. But again, it's one of those love-hate. Me as a fan, I can't wait to see him come down to the ring and with the bat, him and Darby Allin have a great chemistry together. I can't wait to see how it works. But again, I'm worried about the bump he might take. It's always the one you don't see coming that puts you out. That was the bump with Seth Rollins. Mm-hmm. That put him out. He couldn't see the turnbuckle coming, took a bad bump. So I hope to see none of that. If it is a street fight, he might just have to do some acting, some weapons. He might not have to take a horrible bump. But we'll see.
We'll definitely see. Moving along, you've got the Inner Circles.
The Inner Circle finally named a tag team.
Unfortunately, it's not the one that we wanted to see come out of this. So you've got Chris Jericho and MJF claiming to be the Inner Circle's official tag team now.
I still do not like MJF. This is not even he's doing his job and making me hate his character. I don't like it at all. It's nothing about him is compelling to me.
Following him from the little bit that I saw him do in the Indies coming up to AEW, one of the first things when he got signed, I wondered was why. He doesn't have that charisma that most people look for with your favorite wrestlers in the ring. He's a pompous ass, honestly, which could be why they're tag teaming him with Jericho, because personality-wise, they're going to match, but he just doesn't have the in-ring talent, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, everything about him right now says Chris Jericho, from his arrogant attitude to the scarf. I mean, he is basically a rehashed of Chris Jericho. I just can't see it. I don't like it. No one can be Jericho but Jericho. That's how you're the GOAT of wrestling. Even in the inclusion of him in the Inner Circle, it wasn't needed.
It wasn't needed. You've got a fantastic tag team already in the Inner Circle. They've been together for, if I remember correctly, going on 8 years.
Yes.
If not longer.
Yes.
Face it. You can't call them LAX to speak of, but you've got Santana and Ortiz. these guys have been tag teaming since they started, pretty much. They went over to Impact Wrestling, where they kind of picked up the LAX thing for a while. And then
Shout out Conan.
Yeah, shout out K-Dog. And then he actually brought Hernandez and Homicide back. And when these guys exited the company and came over to AEW, it's kind of interesting if LAX were still a thing. Now you could have
Even watching
these guys going against them again, you know?
Even watching the match, you saw tag team chemistry from these guys that you didn't see from the other Inner Circle members. All of them outstanding singles competitors, including MJF, I guess. But if we're talking tag team representation, it should have been Santana and Ortiz. You can go back and watch them with the Young Bucks. You can just see how they deliver as a tag team. This is tag team wrestling at its finest.
And even bigger picture, like I'm taking a step back and going old school with like a stable holding all the gold. Okay, you've got Santana and Ortiz holding the tag team belts. You've got Guevara holding the TNT championship, and then you've got Le Champion himself holding the AEW title eventually again. You had the perfect stable set up to that. Adding MJF to this whole Inner Circle stable just kind of screwed everything up. Right. You've got that odd man out.
Right. And I mean, we're forgetting Jake Hager, but he was always the muscle behind the champion. He was always the muscle behind Jericho. That was the muscle. So when Jericho was the mouthpiece, Hager would end it. That was the Shawn Michaels Diesel
angle
until it was time for Diesel to step up. So every faction has that. That's how you make a good faction. MJF coming in kind of just doesn't fit.
Even Jake Hager, I want to say it was 2 weeks ago on Dynamite that he had his singles match. He doesn't. I mean, granted, he's not Jack Swagger anymore, so he's got the whole different persona. Thank God he got rid of the whole "We the People" thing. I wasn't a huge fan of that. I know you were, but even as you can totally tell that Jake Hager's got his ring rust right. They need like dark matches. His AEW dark. You need to put him on there a little bit more, and then get him back on TV. If you're going to keep him as an active role, he's just not. He's not as quick as he used to be. He's not as quick as picking up the cues like he used to.
Right. And I don't understand going with Jericho and MJF for an established tag team if they're going to get a run at the belts, because you have established tag teams already on your roster. My thing that I've always disliked was the fact that you would throw two singles competitors and they're all of a sudden a tag team. No, you have tag team wrestlers. Sure. Look at FTR. Tag team wrestling at its finest. Young Bucks. Watch them and tell me.
You've got these teams that can play off of each other. Mm-hmm. And yeah, like you said, you're throwing Jericho and MJF together, and they're not being able to play off each other as well. And I'm sure in time it'll become a second nature thing if they keep it up. Jericho's one of those wrestlers where he can make anybody look good. So whether he's bumping for somebody or he's boosting you up, he's gonna make MJF look good, and that might be their ultimate goal there.
Which I'm still confused by, because I thought the up and coming was gonna be Sammy Guevara.
Yeah, Sammy Guevara should have been the apprentice. I don't know if you want to take this opportunity, but right now, speaking of up and coming wrestlers, this upcoming Wednesday, you've got Hangman Adam Page versus Ryan Nameth. Nameth is an up-and-coming wrestler just coming into AEW. I can't wait to see what this kid's got.
I haven't watched much from him personally, but I know he's in there with Hangman Adam Page, who I may not like his character, but the guy can go. So he's going to bump for him. He's going to make him look good. AEW debut. And if Nameth happens to sound familiar, he happens to be the younger brother of a certain WWE superstar.
You know, looking at that hair and those eyes, it kind of gives you a spirit about it. Yeah.
I feel the spirit.
If you don't know who we're talking about WWE's Dolph Ziggler, who, by the way, this last Friday on SmackDown had a hell of a technical match against Cesaro.
Listen, Cesaro, the past couple weeks, has reminded WWE the fact of how underutilized he is. And I feel like every week we're talking about underutilized superstars. The list might start with Cesaro. For years, years, he has showed how good he is, how talented he is.
I think part of Cesaro's thing is, one, he's never really been allowed to be a singles competitor. They keep putting him in tag teams. Before he was on the main roster, he was tag teaming with Chris Hero still. And then he came over to NXT, did a little bit of a singles run there, came up. And as soon as he got up to the main roster, he was always put with somebody. His most recent one that I can think of was him and Sheamus. The Bar, which was a hell of a tag team.
It worked.
And then him and Shinsuke, was the tag team champions.
Two singles competitors brought together for no reason because creative had nothing for them. And was like, hey, just be a tag team. I hate that.
Just be a tag team. It works for everybody.
That's not tag team wrestling. Find two wrestlers that have the American Alpha. That was tag team wrestling. Find superstars like that who are tag team wrestlers. Don't grab two singles competitors just because you have nothing for them and make them tag team champions. Hated it.
And even with Dolph Ziggler as one of the veterans of the company, I like how he came down and he took a shot at Daniel Bryan, telling him it's not 2014 anymore. Cesaro's open challenge.
Yeah.
For the ring, or to jump in the ring with him.
Two of the best in-ring talent going right now.
Hell of a good back and forth technical match. These guys are alternating pins, or alternating submissions.
This was a pay-per-view match on free TV.
Agreed.
These two tore the house down. Cesaro, the past few weeks, has been tearing the house down. Daniel Bryan, whatever he's doing backstage, bringing these underutilized talents to the writers, telling them, give them the time to shine. This shows why SmackDown is up there with wrestling shows.
SmackDown is definitely the show to watch out of the three that they have going on right now.
And like the backdrop shows, the swing still gets a pop from the fans. I don't care if it's at the Thunderdome or live fans. The swing, I don't know how he does it, because you put me on a roller coaster with 3 spins, I'm done. This man does 13 with that, and he still finishes the match. The best European uppercut.
Best European uppercut I've seen, and he just completely lays right into it.
He'll hit you anywhere. I remember him tossing somebody in the air and hitting somebody, jumping to the turnbuckle, hitting somebody. He's underutilized. Cesaro right now is money. He's on a hot streak. I hope to see it continue to a singles run. He was the first Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal winner.
That he was.
And I mean, he has so many accolades. What he's missing is that long run with a major title.
Agreed. Keeping with SmackDown, this week you had
going to the main event.
KO.
Again, we're going with KO and Reigns. Reigns, who is probably the best character in wrestling right now. Just tremendously hot. Last week got pulled a fast one. He's facing KO at Royal Rumble. Roman Reigns decided, why not play one back? It was scheduled to be Adam Pearce against Paul Heyman. We knew that wasn't going to happen. I don't think I've ever seen Paul Heyman.
I like the little setup, though, Reigns telling Heyman, you let him disrespect you, you're letting him disrespect me. Now handle your business, basically.
Again, this is, I think the best characters aren't characters. What they are is you turned up to 15. And that's Reigns right now. Mm-hmm. He is being himself, just turned all the way up. He believes every damn thing he says. So when he says, you let him disrespect you, and that in turn disrespected me, he believes that shit. I mean that wholeheartedly. He believes everything he's saying right now. When he says, I wear a gold glove because everything I touch turns to gold, he believes that.
See, I want to know what Mafia movies Reigns is watching right now, because he is taking his character, and you are, like you said, he's amping it up. He's definitely got that, I'm the Mafia leader, I'm the head of the family, head of the table, if you will. He's doing a great job with this persona right now. This is the Roman Reigns that the WWE's needed for a while. About a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, when they were trying to shove him down our throat every twist and turn they had, this is what they needed. This was the heel turn that got him over. People actually like him this way.
Absolutely. He's playing this character tremendously. But every good villain needs a good guy. And KO has stepped up and been that right now. This week, Paul Heyman, Adam Pearce was scheduled to be. But much like last week, card subject to change. Paul Heyman feigns an injury. Down comes Roman Reigns. We're thinking it's going to be one of them beatdowns. And it starts out to be. until it's not. KO comes out, makes the save. I will say probably one of the better stunners I've seen was a Superman punch. Roman goes for it, jumps in the air, gets kicked in the gut while he's in the air, comes down, takes a stunner.
Right into it, yeah.
Looks pretty. Roman is selling the stunner beautifully. We end the night with Roman on his back, pop-up powerbomb through the announce table.
Yep.
This is the first time that I actually believe Kevin Owens might walk out of the Rumble with the title.
So, looking at it that way, you've got this KO Roman Reigns feud going into the Rumble. The Rumble feud typically goes to WrestleMania. Prior to them changing everything back to Tampa Bay, WrestleMania was supposed to be in Hollywood this year, and I was calling it ahead of time. The Rock was showing up at the Rumble. He was going to come out. He was going to win it, and it was going to be Reigns Rock at WrestleMania for the head of the table. Being that the WWE has, I mean, this is the first time the WWE's put their cards out there on the table like this. Yeah. You know where Mania is going to be at for the next 3 years. You got Tampa Bay, Dallas, and then in Los Angeles. So now you've got essentially what could possibly be a 3-year build-up to this Rock Reigns feud. There's nothing wrong with Reigns losing and picking up the title back and forth for the next 2 years. If he keeps in this kind of character and doesn't go full Brock Lesnar, I think the fans will like him more if he loses the title, wins it back. Kind of like how Rock Austin used to do. It was always going back and forth between them two. Every once in a while, you throw Mankind or the Undertaker in there to give the fans somebody else to look at for about a week or two, and then bam, back to one of the main two.
The only thing I'm disappointed in is we'd have to wait 3 years for the Rock Reigns. But we talked about it a couple weeks ago. It's the slow burn that's the best burn. Sort of. But having to wait for it, the only thing that we have to hope on is, one, the Rock's schedule stays open, which is very tough, and two, Roman Reigns stays healthy. But this character, like you touched on, there's so much we could do with it. He doesn't need the title. I think he'd even be dangerous chasing the title. So if he does happen to lose it, again, I think this may be the first pay-per-view I believe he could lose it. Do I think he will? Not at the Rumble. Not at the Rumble.
No.
If I'm the WWE, I'm keeping Reigns with the belt until WrestleMania.
Okay.
Until WrestleMania, because he's scheduled to have a new theme song.
Mm-hmm.
There's supposed to be fans. The WWE is waiting to see how the Super Bowl plays out in Tampa to figure out their policy and how they're going to run fans at the stadium.
I think right now, initially, they said 25,000?
25,000, which is still a damn good crowd.
Still a damn good crowd. You're not going to have, with international travel and stuff being shut down, you're not going to have as many people coming from overseas. So, I mean, domestically, if you ever wanted to go to a Mania, this could be your year. Which, if you haven't gone, go. I've been to two. I almost flipped off the camera. 2. I've been to 2 Manias.
Shout out Detroit. 1. Bring it back. Ford Field. But if I'm WWE, I'm keeping the strap on him. But having him laid out. So for the past 2 weeks, Kevin Owens has pulled the fast one on Reigns. That's epic building because the entire time Reigns has been on top. So you got to have some back and forth. It's a cat and mouse game, and sometimes the cat's got to take an L. That's what happened. So coming to the Rumble, I think it's going to be a hell of a match again. These guys are going to tear the house down.
It's going to be a good show.
Reigns has said it before. The things that Kevin Owens does, no one else can do for a person how he is. His wrestling style is different. It's built to him. Even when he debuted against John Cena, he did stuff I didn't see before. His top rope suplex was different. It was a spinning suplex. Looked great against Cena. But I don't think he's losing tonight. At the Rumble. I don't see it. Reigns has to keep it right now. Him and The Rock are made for the Hollywood match. But again, it's going to be a really slow build. Much like Cena and The Rock was a slow build throughout the year, it's going to take time to get there.
Great.
So switching it up, we're going to jump to NXT.
Oh, NXT was such a good show this week.
I've been huge on NXT. I'm a huge NXT mark. He'll tell you I've been on the NXT bandwagon since it started. Triple H has been doing his thing there.
Triple H and Shawn Michaels definitely taking over the show over there. But this week you had Finn Balor.
The story with Finn Balor. Him and Pete Dunne right now are just on a collision course. They're going to meet at a takeover, and I have no doubt they are going to kill it. That's just how they are. But right now, Finn Balor is locked in a storyline with Pete Dunne and Oney Larkin and Danny Burch, along with the Undisputed Era. So this week, Finn Balor tells William Regal, I want Pete Dunne, but I know the game. I got to take out Larkin and Burch. I want him. Regal says, no buku, so brother. He says, no, get a tag team partner. Finn tells him, I don't got friends. So, well, you keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer.
Mm-hmm.
Sends him on his way. Finn runs in to an interviewer backstage. Forgive me, I don't know your name. Tells her there's a couple people that owe me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go collect. Walks into the Undisputed Era's locker room.
Right up to O'Reilly.
Tells him, are you in? He's in. It's set. Finn Balor, Kyle O'Reilly, Larkin, and Burch for next week's NXT. I'm huge on Finn Balor. I've been a Finn Balor mark since he started in NXT.
Since
now,
before he was Finn Balor.
Prince Devitt is where I knew him from, and it was the cool entrances that got me hooked. I missed those entrances. Not necessarily the Demon, but I missed the entrances. I wish he'd bring those back.
Mm-hmm.
His cinematic entrances, I mean, from the Joker to Venom,
Jack the
Ripper, Carnage.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look him up on YouTube, Prince Devitt. The things he did, his entrances were so spot on. But right now, him as the Prince in NXT, he's a marked man. He's a heel, he's a face, he's kind of border, but the best characters are the ones that are you turned all the way up. And he's all the way up. He believes I'm the best in the world, I'm the Prince, but I am a marked man.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle O'Reilly right now he was the guy that I thought was just a tag team wrestler.
He's proven that he's got a place in the singles world.
His single matches, incredible. These guys can go. He's a submission specialist. I put him up there with Pete Dunne. Those guys killed it when they had a match. These two together is going to be a cool tag team to see just for this match. Obviously, it's two singles competitors coming together to face a tag team. I expect tension to boil over between Kyle O'Reilly and Finn Balor, but not before getting the dub over these guys, which I never like seeing tag team champions losing to singles competitors, but I'm expecting Pete Dunne to have a say in this and to be a disqualification. But again, Kyle O'Reilly, Finn Balor, their tension's going to rise. That feud's not done. They're going to go at it.
There you go. Switching lanes again, jumping onto the other side of the pond, you've got Monday Night Raw. You still had the absence of the champion on Raw this last week. I believe he's coming back tonight. But the main event for last week was between Alexa Bliss and Asuka.
We've talked about Alexa Bliss, and I mean, I don't know what more can we say that doesn't emphasize how good she is right now.
She's always been a phenomenal talent, and she's taking her character right now, like we've been saying, amping it up. She's got it pumped up. She's playing it to the max. She's playing to the crowd. And speaking of the crowd, I want to jump in and say that this is the only good thing about the WWE not having a crowd right now, is that they're still able to use these cinematic matches or these cinematic effects. Her going from sweet and innocent, pink shirt, and essentially no makeup, to like a dark pleather overalls with a black shirt, black makeup, smearing the lipstick, basically the Fiend reincarnated in her right now. That was amazing. And then the instant transformation at the end of the match after she won, it caught everybody off guard.
Say what you want about Asuka, it making her look weak. Asuka looked weak when she lost to Charlotte at WrestleMania, which never should have happened. We're not even going to get to that right now. That upset me just because it gave Charlotte another accolade that she didn't need. You want to talk about Asuka looking weak? No, this is good storytelling.
This is Asuka playing to the storyline.
Yes. So, of course, Asuka dominates Firefly Funhouse, Alexa Bliss. She dominates. She's imposing her will. The lights go out, and there's that Fiend transformation. That superhuman entity enters her, and from then it's all Alexa Bliss.
Just pacing around, no rushing, no stressing. It's everything that Asuka threw at her. She had a counter for. It was
even her offense changed.
Yeah, it was a 1990 Steven Seagal play come to life. Is what it was.
Absolutely.
It's every kick, every punch, every toss. Alexa caught a few bumps, but at the same time, she just blew it, either shrugged it off or had a perfect counter for it.
Perfect counter for it. And just the nuances of that match, from Alexa rubbing her lipstick on each side, those little touches are what makes a good story from a movie standpoint. And if you think of wrestling as a walking movie, that's what we're getting. She's showing you that transformation in her. And again, without the fans, it sucks, but you get these little touches that we can still have. And that's one of them. Lights go out, her entire wardrobe changes, her face is done up, and then her attitude is different. When she hit the Fiend, look back at your opponent from the
turnbuckle.
Man. And Asuka, again, to her credit, sold it well. And she was terrified.
And I like how she doesn't go all Bray Wyatt with it either. Like, she doesn't do the drop and turn. Like, she stood right back up, turned around, smiled, did her thing. She's showing the embodiment of the Fiend without losing her style, which is really playing to the character.
I agree. And I really feel like she has her hand creatively in this, because only you know when to do stuff like that. Only you know how to make this character you. And that's exactly what she's doing. She made Bray Wyatt's Fiend into her. And she's carrying the storyline. She's facing Alexa Bliss tonight at 8 on USA, as you see in the backdrop, for the title. Now,
I don't see the strap changing hands tonight. It's still too soon. I think with Asuka being in the tag team with Charlotte Flair, her being the double champion right now is perfect. You know, it's not time for her to lose the title yet.
I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say Alexa Bliss eats an RKO tonight. WWE has shown right now that they don't mind somewhat of an intergender match. They had one this past Friday on SmackDown with Sasha Banks and Reginald, which he did some phenomenal things.
That he did.
But the story with Randy Orton, who is now a luchador or something, is not over. He had his face burnt. He's covered in a mask. And again, he's progressing the story, but him and The Fiend are not done. The title's on the line tonight. To progress this story, Randy Orton needs to appear.
Agreed.
I want to go out on a limb and just say Alexa Bliss is eating an RKO. It may not affect The Fiend Alexa Bliss. That's not the point. The point is to just carry the story along. Mm-hmm. Randy Orton needs to show that he's not afraid of what Alexa Bliss did to him. That he's still going to be gunning for The Fiend when The Fiend comes back, if and when. Slow burn.
And by doing that, you have a setup for a possible Asuka Alexa Bliss match at the Rumble.
At the Rumble. It can go so many ways, but I don't think Asuka should lose the belt tonight. That is my opinion. We'll see how it goes, but I'm calling it right now. I really do feel an RKO is going to happen to Alexa Bliss. But we talked about the Rumble.
We did talk about the Rumble.
But what we haven't talked about is the female Royal Rumble.
We have not talked about the female Royal Rumble.
We talked a lot about the male Royal Rumble. The female Royal Rumble, just as important.
Just as important. It's kind of like we talked about taking our picks in the previous weeks for the men, which we'll get to that. But this, being that it's, again, you've got both brands competing in the Royal Rumble, it makes it very difficult to try to peg somebody who is going to take it and go on to Mania for the championship. My women's pick for the Royal Rumble is going to be, I'm going to go with Charlotte. Okay? She's tag team champion. I'm trying to look down the road. They're going to do what they always do with Charlotte. She's going to end up turning on her tag team partner, and then her and Asuka are going to end up battling it out for the belt. Which, unfortunately, I think is going to give Asuka, number 16 now? She's going to be tied with her dad.
I'm gonna say that's not gonna happen. To hell with that. It's not gonna happen. No chance in hell. Vince McMahon. I'm gonna say that her dad costs her the Royal Rumble.
Okay, so you throwing it on Lacey Evans then, or?
Lacey Evans and her are locked into a story with her dad. It all because of the Nature Boy. Woo! Which everybody still wants to be.
Which, this is... Stepping back for a second, this storyline is already very reminiscent of a previous storyline that we've had in the WWE of Tori Wilson and Dawn Marie. I see the writing on the wall. They're doing the exact damn same thing.
While I don't see it exactly ending the same way that's...
No. Hopefully the nation doesn't take the dive and go for the dirt net. But.
I wasn't even talking about that. There's a certain hotel room.
Yeah, we're not talking about that.
I don't think that's going to happen. Look it up on YouTube, though. It's still there. I don't think a PG WWE will allow this.
Not that far. But
But similar
same storyline, essentially.
I am taking Lacey Evans in the Royal Rumble just for the simple fact of you don't pair up somebody with Ric Flair and don't do nothing with them. Now, the Women's Royal Rumble might be even harder to pick than the males because we have, and I say we like I'm in the WWE, Vince, Mr. McMahon, the WWE has the deepest roster of women's wrestlers. I think NXT has the better, but again, I'm an NXT mark. It is what it is. You got Rhea Ripley, Shotzi Blackheart. You have Candice LeRae, Casey Catanzaro, who just showed off a corkscrew finisher. Shout out to you. That was dope. As soon as you perfect landing it, you're going to get a hell of a pop. And they're doing their own women's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. Shout out to Dusty.
The dream.
But they have the deepest stable of women's wrestlers, and a lot of them are locked into a story.
True.
An argument can be made for Bianca Belair, who should have a rocket strapped to her back because the way she lifted up Otis and carried him the length of the ring, even male wrestlers have a hard time doing. She literally is the EST of the WWE. Her story is fantastic. She's got a documentary coming out on the WWE Network. You can make a story for her. You can make an argument for her. Bayley is still around. You can make an argument for her. Like you did for Charlotte, she's still there. She's always going to be in the conversation.
True.
You have surprise entrances that may come back.
The surprise entrances. So which one are you hoping for? You think anybody you have in mind?
I'll always mark out for Lita. Anytime Lita enters a ring.
Okay.
I was always a fan of her with Team Extreme. Obviously, when she went rated R, it was a little different. I was one of those fans that was salty when she left Matt, but it is what it is. I'll always pop for her.
Any comebacks?
I'm gonna change my answer. Changing my answer right now, and I'm sorry I didn't do this before, and I'm sorry I don't have the shirt on. Becky Lynch, the mom is coming back at the Royal Rumble. I'm calling it now. She's gonna be a 2-time winner. I'm sorry I didn't even throw your name out there right now. Well, she needs to be in this Rumble match.
So me being the half-ass journalist that I am, did a little bit of digging. So you've got one person in particular that disappeared from Impact Wrestling. Her tag team over there kind of broke up, and she hasn't been seen from since. Her tag team partner Rosemary has since kind of reunited with her former partner Crazy Steve and reformed DK. Yep. So we got that going on. Her husband's in the WWE, John Morrison. So it wouldn't surprise me if we saw Taya Valkyrie make an appearance during the Royal Rumble this year.
And I'm not mad. Tremendous talent.
I'm definitely not mad about it.
I'm not mad. Tremendous talent. And WWE they've made it known they don't like separating couples. They will try to keep you on the same shows. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if they go after Valkyrie.
And she's one that I wouldn't be upset about seeing her come and land on one of the main stage shows. Like you were saying, there's really not a developmental anymore. So her being on NXT doesn't make any sense. Put her on SmackDown with her husband. Let her travel.
If they ever bring back the Mixed Match Challenge, I think them two together is going to be phenomenal to watch. Who else you got in mind?
Another one that I was thinking of, she's been cleared for a WWE return. She's got a contract with the company. The redheaded bomber herself, Eva Marie.
That she's signed.
She's signed. She's waiting. They're waiting for a perfect storyline.
Perfect.
Now, I think this is a good way to bring her in as a debut. I don't think you're gonna run her storyline off of the Rumble, but bringing her back at the Rumble.
And yeah, she didn't have the greatest storyline when she left. Every time she was going to start a match, something would happen, whether it be a wardrobe malfunction or something stopped her from actually having a match. She has had matches. Bayley has gone on to say that her favorite match has been with Eva Marie, actually. So she's got talent. I don't think initially started out wanting to be a wrestler, but she's developed into one.
She's been developed into one. She's a great bodybuilder.
Yes.
Follow
her on Instagram.
Her and her husband, I think they even have their own line of workout products now.
I believe so.
So she's got everything you need to be a decent talent in the WWE. She's been practicing in ring with Natalya, and some other wrestlers at the Performance Center.
And who better to learn from than the boat?
True.
She has the most wins out of any female wrestler in the WWE. She is the boat. I don't care what anybody says. She's a veteran of the game, and she can still go.
So if anybody's going to be the person to train a female wrestler to come back, Natalya is definitely the best pick.
But I agree with you. The Royal Rumble is a great way to reintroduce her.
Mm-hmm. Bring her in. She doesn't even have to have the red hair anymore, honestly. No. You can totally change her up, have her come back with her natural blonde hair or the black hair or whatever the hell it was she had it dyed on Instagram 2 weeks ago.
But again, the WWE roster is stacked with women and their storylines. No pun intended. I meant no disrespect. I said stacked. But
I got you.
But bringing more in is not a bad thing. It's just we got to create the opportunities for it.
Well, and especially since when Eva Marie left, women weren't exactly looked at as wrestlers when she left the company. So her coming back in a wrestling capacity.
Yeah, the revolution hadn't started, but the revolution is televised. So when she comes back, it should be pretty interesting.
I agree.
So speaking about, the Ric Flair and Lacey storyline, I had mentioned that the WWE product will not allow that storyline to get too out of hand. Somebody had something interesting to say about the WWE product right now. That happened to be the man himself, the dead man, the Undertaker. Let me break out my handy Palm Pilot and
so you got one of those?
and read his exact quote. Undertaker on the Joe Rogan Experience, exclusively on Spotify. The Undertaker said, I try. It's tough for me right now. The product has changed so much, and it's kind of off. I'll probably piss off a lot of people, but they need to hear it. It is what it is. To the young guys who think he's a bitter old guy, I'm not bitter. I did my time. I walked away when I wanted to walk away. I just think the product is a little soft. There's guys here and there that have an edge to them, but there's too much pretty and not enough substance, I think, right now.
I'm 50-50 on with that. I think, in all honesty, it's not that the product has gone soft. It's just that you have the evolution of the business. You can't have the storylines or the setup that you had 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. The way that society has gone as far as what people are influenced by, what people are offended by, what people are into in general. You can't run the same business that you did back then when The Undertaker was, abducting Stephanie McMahon and strapping her to a his version of the crucifix with Austin screaming and yelling at him, Even that storyline, as mild as it was, no hell, no way would that get over today. Sorry to make that rhyme. That was horrible. But, yeah, so it's just the evolution of the business. I don't think that it's soft. I just think that it's changed. And unfortunately, Undertaker is very much a product of the past.
I agree.
And I hate saying that.
I agree with you with some. you have to cater to the audience you have. Fortunately or unfortunately, WWE does cater to kids, not adults so much, which is why AEW, no matter what NXT ratings are, they'll always say they win in the ratings war because the demographic is the 18 to 35, and AEW kills it at that. USA has even gone out on a limb and told the WWE we want more edgier programming. But again, think about the climate we're in. Could a WWE superstar drug a female superstar, drive them to a chapel, get married, and then tell them on camera, I can't wait for the honeymoon? Would we be allowed to do that?
No, you can't. You know why? Because people would be screaming #MeToo
right
all over that.
The climate has changed so much, not even in just the wrestling business, but in society. There is stories that you cannot run. It will not work. I remember even just recently when Retribution, Mia Yim, she had a seizure, and it wasn't a seizure. It was supposed to be like she was being possessed, but people who have seizures
were sensitive
to it and started tweeting WWE and trying to boycott them and said how upset they were that somebody was mocking seizures.
Yeah, unfortunately, with cancel society the way it is right now, there's just way too much you can't get rid of. I mean, I'm thinking like Kane and a specific storyline involving a former cheerleader girlfriend. Definitely not running that kind of stuff over it.
I'm thinking of Gene Schnitsky punning a baby.
Yeah, or
it wasn't his fault.
Or Mark Henry and his older.
The hand. I hope the hand is doing good today.
I hope it is too. I think it's living well with Al Snow's head.
Didn't the hand make a comeback on one of the reunions?
It did.
I thought so.
Yeah.
Sexual chocolate. Again, I don't think you can call anybody that. but and the fact Keith Lee had a finishing maneuver called BBC is beyond me for as long as he did. Beyond me. How no one caught that, and maybe that's why he's doing the Spirit Bomb now.
Yeah.
But he had the jackhammer and he called it the BBC.
He lost the BBC when he lost the entrance scene.
Yeah. But I don't think Undertaker so much was calling wrestling soft. I think he was just saying more or less the storylines, which again, like we said, you cannot have the same storylines. What I will say, and I may piss some people off, and I'd probably piss off The Undertaker. You have better athletes now than you had then.
And I got one to bounce off you. Okay? So it's not that you don't have better athletes. And I'm going to throw this up partly in credit to my man CM Punk. Okay? You got the WWE that finally opened their eyes and decided or realized that you can't run your talent for 360 days of the year. So now you've got quality athletes, people that actually want to be wrestlers, that didn't just fall into it. You've got a company that's taking somewhat better care of their talent, giving them breaks, giving them time off. They have a chance to heal. Whether you like, you take a bump, it hurts. You're going to have to heal from it. You have to make a comeback from it. I think all of this in general is what's making the talent better. And like I'm thinking back to the days of Harley Race and some of these other cats that they were on the road, traveling with each other, staying with each other. The only way that you could keep going at that point in time, a lot of these guys turned to drugs and alcohol. The major wrestling promotions now are getting rid of a lot of that by giving these guys breaks, letting them rehab themselves. Their testing in general.
I've said these guys need an off season. Your body needs to heal from the road, from the constant bumping. But even later on in the quote, Undertaker talks about how backstage in his time, you'd see knives and guns, money, alcohol. You'd see that backstage. Now you walk back there, you see video games. Again, today's society, where everybody is a photographer, where everybody has potentially a recording device on them. Mm-hmm. Think of the Undertaker, who lived his character. Okay, he'd only be in dark places.
Agreed.
That character wouldn't last now because a camera would have been snapped.
Sure.
A picture would have been snapped of him in that backstage area. Oh, he's not really a dead man. Click. The character would not have lasted 30 years now. Starting now, it wouldn't have lasted. everybody has a camera on them. So if I'm a businessman now and my product is geared towards young adults or even their children, Super Cena, do I want to see all the alcohol, the drugs, all this backstage where somebody might see? Do I want to see my wrestlers doing all that outside? Yes, they're independent contractors, but they still represent the WWE and their product. So as a whole, when you're saying wrestling is soft, the business changed. I still feel now in this generation we have better athletes. Outside of Shawn Michaels back then, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Owen Hart, you had a lot of big men that couldn't go. I'm a big Hulk Hogan fan. I'm not the biggest, but I'm a big Hulk Hogan fan. But could he really go? Could he put on an hour match?
Could Hulk Hogan survive today? Is what I think you're trying to get at, and the answer is no. You put Hulk Hogan in the ring. I'll go against somebody that's in his own league. You put him up against Drew McIntyre nowadays. McIntyre's gonna chew him up and spit him out. A big thing was like Hulk Hogan back in the day was everybody else made him look good because he was the poster boy. And unfortunately, as many people that love Hulk Hogan, myself included, I was a Hulkamaniac for the longest time. It's when you grow up to be an adult, you realize that. Unfortunately, he was glorified. Like, and there's tons of people that are in the business that will agree to that.
Again, Royal Rumble this Sunday. Mail, are you still?
My mail. You know what?
Your winner, Royal Rumble.
I picked Daniel Bryan originally, but I've got the perfect comeback, and this ties into the SmackDown storyline. Seth Rollins. You got the mom coming back, and I've got the architect coming back in. Perfect time for him to come back. If this Roman Reigns KO thing lasts for a little bit longer, make it a 3-way.
Listen, nothing's gonna tug at the heartstrings more than confetti falling and Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch celebrating the ring as Royal Rumble winners. I think that's a storybook ending. Couldn't have written better than myself. I mean, it's the Notebook ending. But I don't know if he comes back. I hope he does. Just not as CrossFit Jesus. I can't take it. The Messiah's got to go. Messiah's got to go. If Kevin Owens ain't the man to tear down the head of the table, it's poetry that is Seth Rollins. I mean, again, the writing's on the wall for that feud. I think I threw a name out there already, but I think I'm still sticking with Keith Lee.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's got gold on him. You need to feed the man now. If not now, when?
True.
So, again, continue to follow, like, subscribe, hit the notification, comment. Who do you think is going to win the Royal Rumble?
Thanks for watching.